Point Park men and women's basketball take a must-need win over Carlo. Track and field visited Youngstown State for the YSU Icebreaker. The Penguins have 7 wins in their last 10 games, a potential trade for the Pirates, and Pitt get themselves a bowl game. Week 13 of the NFL has concluded, big names on the move in the MLB, and the NHL is a third of the way through its season. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. The Point Park men and women's basketball teams played against Carlo University this past Saturday, and both teams had successful games. Starting with the men's team, they won the game 80-42. The Pioneers shot 46% of shots and dominated rebounds throughout the game. Point Park started with a 15-2 lead with shots scored by Kyrie Coates, Jordan Stowe, Jalen Stamps, and Sharon Shafino. It was a big game for Jordan Stowe. He got 17 points and 16 rebounds. Kyrie Coates had a few three-pointers and finished the game with 5 assists. At the half, Point Park was up 40-19, and Sharon Shafino had a 3-point play that got the Pioneers to a 52-22 lead over the Celtics. Shafino finished the game with 12 points and 6 rebounds. Other key players were Jalen Stamps with 10 points, Jags Jawar with 6 rebounds and 3 blocks, Malcolm Murphy with 7 points and 10 rebounds, and Nate Van and Khalif Washington with 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Nice job on the win, boys. Switching gears over to the women's basketball team, the Pioneers took the win against Carlo 76-58. At the end of the first quarter, the Pioneers were leading 21-14 after Sierra Sonetta shot 2 three-pointers in a row. And at the half, Point Park extended the lead 36-25. Starting the second half, Alexis Giles had 10-2 outbursts with a layup and 2 three-pointers. Other key players were Izzy Strickland with 10 points, Hoofer with 8, Jordan O'Malley with 5, Taylor Wren with 14 points and 15 rebounds, and Ari Bleda with 9 points and 7 rebounds. Both Point Park teams' next game is Wednesday, December 7th against Penn State Greater Allegheny at CCAC Allegheny. The women's game is at 5 and the men's game is at 7. Good luck to both teams as they practice this week. After the break, we hear from Hannah Bizet on how the track team did last week.
Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. The benefits of physical activity include brain health, weight management, reducing disease, strengthening your bones and muscles, and improving your ability to do everyday activities. So, it's time to get up and be active.
Welcome back. Now I'll send things over to Hannah Bizet to give us a recap on how the track team did last week at the YSU Icebreaker. Hannah?
Thanks, Nat. Point Park's men's and women's track and field teams competed in their first indoor meet of the season at the YSU Icebreaker. Starting off with the men's team, the sprinters began the meet with Damir Stewart, who was just short of the 60-meter dash prelims with a time of 7.03 seconds. CJ Moore was 7.15 seconds, Damir Lomax at 7.19 seconds, and Dorian Boatswain at 7.28 seconds within the event. Collins Ezzi qualified for the NAIA Indoor National Championship in the triple jump. His first jump was 14.23 meters and qualified within the NAIA B standard. He won 4th overall and finished behind 1 YSU student and 2 Pitt students. Additionally, Ezzi also led in long and high jumps amongst Point Park students. He was 11th for the day with 6.77 meters in the long jump and then 16th in the high jump with 1.75 meters. The throwers also had a good meet, some even setting school records. Siobhan Fletcher placed 10th in shot put and set a school record toss of 14.87 meters. Daniel Jacobs followed behind in 11th place in weight throw, breaking his own school record with 14.65 meters. All of Point Park's weight throwers set personal records, including Daniel Jacobs, Siobhan Fletcher, Cooper Lytle, and David Attram. In shot put, Attram set another PR with Nasir Galloway, Cooper Lytle, and Jakob Blatnick completed. The mile had 3 runners finish strong, with Ramiro Alunque finishing in a tie for first within his section with a time of 4.28. Yannick Windoband wasn't far behind with a time of 4.32. Juan Barrera paced the Pioneers in 400 meters with a time of 51.28, taking 17th place. The Pioneers had several runners in the 200 meters competition, with Jacorius Demps taking team honors at 23.06 seconds for 29th place. Damir Lomax was 2 spots behind with a time of 23.08 seconds. And finally, CJ Moore ran at 23.77. In pole vault, Peter Durando cleared 3.40 meters to take 9th place in the unseeded event. This is the 3rd highest height cleared by the Pioneers in indoor track and within the university in 4 years. To finish up the meet, Point Park's 4x400 relay squad took 10th place with a time of 3:27. The group was made up of Steve Bradley, Jacorius Demps, Juan Barrera, and Damir Lomax. The Pioneers have a break until January 14th, where they then go on to the Worcester Invitational. Just like the men's team, the women's team also made a splash at the meet. Alyssa Campbell led the way for the team, qualifying for the NAIA National Championships in the 3,000 meters. She ran at 10 minutes and 10 seconds for 2nd place for the day and 1st within Point Park. Last year, she also competed in the NAIA All-American competition for 3,000 meters, where she finished 5th in the country. Freshman Emily Leo made her collegiate track debut in the same race, placing 7th with a time of 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Sideline's very own Natalia Hillen had a huge day at the meet, reaching 3 personal bests in 3 different events. Hillen led the Pioneers in 200 meters, 400 meters, and 60-meter hurdles, breaking the program's top 5 indoor list for all 3 events. She placed 17th and PR'd in 60 hurdles at 9.39 seconds, 20th in the 400 meters at 1 minute and 1 second as her time, and 34th in the 200 meters at 26.89 seconds. Additionally, she led the 4x400 relay that finished 18th with a time of 4 minutes and 27 seconds. She ran alongside Michaela Rice, Hannah Bond, and Anna Eisman. Ellsbury also PR'd in the 60 meters with a time of 8.25 seconds and placed 32nd in the NCAA D1 meet. Anna Eisman PR'd in the 60-meter hurdle at 10.09 seconds, which came into qualifying. Sophie Jabozi was 11th in the triple jump to lead the Pioneers. She distanced 10.72 meters. Lulu Lubin competed in all 3 jumps and 3 hurdles. She led the school in high jump with a 1.40 meters and also set PRs in the triple jump, 9.95 meters, and 60 hurdles, 10.85 seconds. In throwing, Anna Jabozi threw for 12.26 meters in the weight throw, 2nd best in school history, and led the Pioneers in shot put at 8.88 meters. The women's team has a break before returning on January 14th to compete at the Worcester Invitational. We're so proud of our Pioneers, especially Natalia, for how they did at their first meet of the year. We're so excited to see what's to come. So Natalia, you had a huge meet yourself. How did you feel that the meet went overall?
Overall, I feel like the meet went really well. I have been training since September, and we've been conditioning ever since, doing a couple practices a day and practicing basically 5 days a week. So we really went from transforming to lifting at Union Fitness this semester, which really helped me. And I just felt like the meet was really well. Everything went as planned, and I PR'd in all 3 of my events.
Yeah, that's great. Secondly, you were named Athlete of the Meet by your coaches. What does that honor mean to you?
Being Athlete of the Meet just kind of confirms that I'm on the right track, especially for the next semester with all of our meets. We have a couple months of indoor first, and then we go into outdoor starting in March to May. So it was just kind of confirmation that to keep on working hard, and I'm super excited to see what's to come for the next couple of months, definitely.
Thanks for speaking with us. We're all very proud of you.
Thank
Now
you.
back to Nat at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah. After the break, we'll get some insight on how the rest of the sports world is doing. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. We now send things over to India Durham to update us on all things locally. India?
Thanks, Nat. Wild off-season of baseball already. Unfortunately, Pirates outfielder Brian Reynolds has requested a trade out of Pittsburgh. Reynolds has been an all-star multiple times for the Pirates, and we can only hope that the Pirates can gain some valuable pieces for their all-star outfielder. Pirates will need all the help for next season. That is it for Pirates news. Let's look at the Pittsburgh Penguins on the NHL side. In a very sad event, Penguins defender Chris Letang suffered a stroke. This will be putting him out indefinitely. We all hope he heals well and possibly get back on the ice. In good news, the Penguins has won their last 2 games, including a win against the great Vegas Knights team. They beat the Knights 4-3 to start the month of December, then went on to beat the Blues 6-2 2 days later. The Penguins look to continue this type of play as they go on to play the Columbus Blue Jackets, who had a slow start to the year. The Penguins stand at 4th in the Metropolitan in hopes of fighting for a playoff spot. The Pitt Panthers will be playing against UCLA in the Sun Bowl on December 30th. The Panthers season is coming to an end, and there are high hopes of great transfers and recruits to hopefully improve this team for next year. Good luck to the Panthers for their game against UCLA. And with that being said, that is all I have. Back to you, Nat.
With that in mind, I'm now going to send things to John Mayer for this week's Steelers Fan 7 Sideline Spotlight. John?
Thanks, Nat. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been getting hot as of late, winning their 2nd game in a row, their 3rd win in their past 4 matchups, as they defeated the Atlanta Falcons 19-16 in a hard-fought road win that appeared at times to be more like a Steelers home game, with a large majority of fans in the building representing Steelers Nation as fans made their presence felt throughout the entire game in favor of Pittsburgh. This win was of special significance to the Hayward family, as Cam and Connor Hayward became the first pair of brothers in NFL history to record a sack and a receiving touchdown, with the touchdown being Connor Hayward's first in the NFL. And all of this came against the Falcons, the former team of their late father, Craig Ironhead Hayward, who was a Pro Bowl running back for Atlanta. Steelers kicker Matthew Wright, who was signed in place of the injured Chris Boswell, was responsible for the other 13 points in the contest other than Connor Hayward's first career score, connecting on all 4 of his field goal attempts while making his only extra point try of the day. Despite struggling to reach the end zone and having to settle for 4 field goals, the Steelers' offense continued to improve. Najee Harris led the Steelers' rushing attack with 86 yards on the ground, and the Steelers' run game now ranks 5th in rushing yards per game over the past 5 weeks, a major turnaround from earlier in the season. Kenny Pickett and Pat Freiermuth continue to do damage through the air for Pittsburgh, as the pair connected 3 times for 76 yards, bringing Freiermuth's yardage total to 597 yards on the season, as he is one of now only 3 tight ends in football to lead his team in receiving yards, with the other 2 being annual Pro Bowlers, Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. After improving to 5-7, the Steelers will now host the first-place Ravens, who will likely be starting Tyler Huntley at quarterback, with Lamar Jackson recovering from a knee injury that took place in last week's game. The Steelers are 4-0 the past 2 seasons against Baltimore, and Pittsburgh will look to keep up the recent success against Baltimore, with rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett making his first career start against the Ravens. That's all I have in this week's Steelers Fan 7 Spotlight. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, John. I have a few questions leading up to the Steelers' next game. So the Steelers have been on a roll these past couple of weeks, improving to 5-7 on the year while winning 3 of the past 4 games since the bye week. What are the major factors to this turnaround for Pittsburgh after a 2-6 start to the season?
There's a couple of things. First off, as I said, getting TJ Watt back after the bye week would pay major dividends. It has. The Steelers have won 3 of 4 since getting him back. When they were missing him, they only won that one Buccaneers game. So getting TJ Watt back was huge. And he really hasn't been making as big of an impact as he has in the past, but his presence alone has freed up opportunities for guys like Alex Highsmith and Cameron Hayward, and they've been taking advantage. Another thing, the Steelers' rushing attack has had a major turnaround. With Najee Harris leading the way, he had 86 yards last week. He's looked like a whole new running back since the bye week. And the Steelers have been getting other talented backs on the roster more opportunities as well. Guys such as Jalen Warren, Benny Snell. Even Derek Watt's been getting a couple of carries. He's 5 for 5 in short yardage, 1-yard situations. So it's great to see the Steelers utilizing Watt. It's great to see the Steelers utilizing these other talented backs alongside Najee Harris, who is clearly the feature guy.
After leading Pittsburgh to wins during the 3 of the past 4 games under center, what are your thoughts on the play of rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett as of late?
So Kenny Pickett's cut down on the turnovers, and it's been great to see because weeks 4 through 8, there's been a lot of talk about his interceptions. I felt a lot of those were unlucky. Some hands, I didn't feel like the stats told the whole story, but Kenny has improved. He's been taking control against the Colts. He led a game-winning drive, his first ever game-winning drive, and he called the game-winning touchdown, the game-winning play, which was the Benny Snell run there per Senator Mason Cole in an interview. So it's great to see Kenny taking control, cutting down the turnovers. This improved running game has definitely helped Kenny Pickett. So Kenny has really been coming along these past couple weeks. The Steelers have been starting to play really solid ball around him as a team, which they weren't doing to start the season. So Kenny Pickett's improved play, an improved rushing attack, TJ Watt's presence. I feel like with all these things, the Steelers could possibly go on a run. And Kenny Pickett's really been playing some solid football these past couple weeks.
Yeah, and he's a rookie. He just started a couple months ago, and he just started playing a couple months ago in the NFL. So, it makes sense that it's going to take some time to get the swing of things going for the Steelers. So we're just going to have to see how the Steelers will do against the Baltimore Ravens next Sunday, December 11th at Acrisure Stadium. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Nat.
Now let's hear from Jacob Kubik with a recap of Week 13 in the NFL, MLB winter meetings news, how the NHL is looking, and what is going on with the World Cup. Jacob?
Thanks, Nat. So many sports to talk about and so little time to do it. So let's dive right in. First, with the NFL. Week 13 in the NFL was filled with storylines. One of the biggest storylines in the league was Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson returning to the gridiron following his 11-game suspension for violating the league's personal conduct policy. And what better place for Watson to make his Browns debut than Houston, against his former team, the Houston Texans. Watson showed clear rust, failing to lead the offense to a touchdown. The Browns, however, won the game by a score of 27-14 thanks to 3 defense and special teams touchdowns. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson suffered what is being described as a sprained PCL in the first quarter against the Denver Broncos and did not return for the final 3 quarters. The Ravens claimed victory late in the fourth quarter with the only touchdown in the game scored to vault the Ravens in the lead and win by a final score of 10-9. As John pointed out a few segments ago, the Steelers are now winners of 2 games in a row with their 19-16 win over the Atlanta Falcons. Aaron Rodgers proved to us that no matter what year the Packers may be having, he does still, in fact, own the Chicago Bears, leading the Pack to a 28-19 win in Soldier Field. The Minnesota Vikings fought off a late push by the New York Jets in Minneapolis, improving to 10-2 on the year with a 27-22 victory. The San Francisco 49ers lost quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo for the season after breaking his foot in the first half, meaning rookie quarterback and Mr. Irrelevant in this year's NFL draft had to lead the Niners against a hot Miami Dolphins team. Brock Purdy held his own and went 25 of 37 with 210 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading the Niners to win by a score of 33-17. Monday morning, it was announced that Carolina quarterback Baker Mayfield and the Panthers reached a mutual agreement in releasing Mayfield. Baker will now hit waivers, and in his hopes of not being a free agent will hang in the balance of which teams want to claim him off of waivers. The week concluded Monday night with the New Orleans Saints team traveling to Tampa Bay to battle Brady and the Buccaneers. The Saints had previously had Brady's number since Brady became a member of the Buccaneers. In most of this game, it seemed as if Brady would drop another game against the Saints, since they were up 13 in the fourth quarter. However, if Brady will be remembered for anything in his Hall of Fame career, it will be his ability to lead teams to victory in the fourth quarter, but especially in the final 2 minutes. Brady led the offense to 14 points in the final 15 minutes to beat the Saints by a score of 17-16 and pad their lead in the NFC South division. In NHL news, every team in the league is past their quarter point in the season, and teams remain on the rise and on the fall. The New Jersey Devils, Vegas Golden Knights, and Boston Bruins still reign at the top of the league. Toronto, Dallas, and Seattle are right behind them. At this point in the season, any team can make a run for the push for the playoffs, and they remain wide open. In MLB news, the winter meetings have officially begun, and we have some massive signings. Reigning Cy Young Award winner and World Series champion Justin Verlander has decided to leave Houston and sign with the New York Mets on a 2-year, $86 million deal. The Phillies signed ex-Dodger shortstop Trey Turner to an 11-year, $300 million deal. Ex-Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom signed a 5-year, $185 million deal with the Texas Rangers. Big names are still up for grabs, with the biggest being Aaron Judge. Now to the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar in the FIFA World Cup. The round of 16 is officially complete, and the round of 8 matchups are set. The Netherlands will battle Messi and Argentina after beating the United States and Australia respectively. Croatia will battle Brazil, potentially setting up a Brazil-Argentina semifinal. On the other half of the bracket, Harry Kane and England will battle Kylian Mbappe and France, and Portugal will battle Morocco after beating Spain 0-0, 3-0 on penalty kicks. There has been plenty of drama in this World Cup, and there is sure to be more. That's all I have. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, Jacob. After the break, we come back with the case of the week. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. My name is Craig Furkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet. Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up on Newsnight.
Welcome back. The 2022 FIFA World Cup has been on the move the last few weeks, with countries battling it on the soccer field. I am joined by John and Jacob today to hear what they think the next few weeks holds for the future. So, Jacob first, what do you think about the next few weeks with the teams such as Croatia versus Brazil, the Netherlands versus Argentina, Morocco versus Portugal, and England versus France?
Well, I'll say if these next few weeks and these next few matches have any kind of excitement that we've had so far, it should be a very, very entertaining couple of mornings and afternoons for us. One matchup that I'm intrigued with is the Netherlands and Argentina, because it seems as if the Netherlands really beat down the USA team. And obviously, the USA team kind of looked a little bit behind the Netherlands, even though they got a goal late. It really just seemed like the Netherlands really had their finger on the US, and they're going up against Lionel Messi and Argentina. And if Argentina would win that game and Brazil would be Croatia, they would meet. And that's really two passionate fan bases down in South America that love soccer. And even though they call it football down there, they would love to play each other for bragging rights to make it into the final. But another matchup that I'm really interested, especially in the round of 8, is England versus France. Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe, really two big names in this World Cup. England right now has 12 goals over their combined games, and France has 9. So it's really a high-powered and high-octane offenses. So it'll be really interesting to see whether this game will be 0-0 going into extra time, or if this game will be like a 5-4 shootout. So I personally can't wait to see these round of 8 games.
Mm-hmm. John?
I'm excited for these round of 8 games as well. As you mentioned, the Netherlands, I really feel like the USA beat themselves that game.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive lapses from Tyler Adams, another defensive lapse before the end of the first half. I think Argentina's going to go in there with Messi's final run. I really feel like they're going to dominate that one. And with England and France, as you mentioned before, England has 12 goals, but they can be held. The USA, as we know, 0-0 draw with England, and I believe France is just the better team after winning it last year, led by Mbappe, an absolute star. So I think France is going to take that one. And then we got Portugal, Morocco, Ronaldo's final run, as we've been talking all about Messi, but this is probably the final run for Ronaldo as well. So I think they're going to top Morocco in that one, and Croatia versus Brazil. I see Brazil coming on top in that one.
One thing I do want to say, though, and since you said Brazil is going to be Croatia and Brazil and Morocco and Portugal are really two games that the favorites need to be careful with, because Croatia beat Japan on penalty kicks, and Morocco, we're filming this today, they beat Spain in penalty kicks. And, I mean, their goalies have been playing great in penalty kicks. So if they get into extra time, they kind of have those good thoughts, and maybe those teams haven't had them. All it takes is 5 kicks. If you score 3, you could be going on the round of 4. So, I mean, that's the great thing about soccer, is the fact that anything can really happen in those matches.
Definitely. But we saw Ramos come up with a hat trick. I believe Portugal has talent outside of Ronaldo. And with this being his final run, I think that I believe Morocco's Cinderella story is going to come to an end. I just don't see Portugal losing to Morocco and Ronaldo going out in that fashion.
And Portugal scored, I think it finished to 5 goals, and Ronaldo didn't even start the game. Ronaldo was the second half sub. So they have more than just Ronaldo. Ronaldo is just a great piece to have in that puzzle.
Definitely.
The game for England versus France, I feel like France is going to win just because they did win the last time, and just like seeing all the plays the last couple times, like they've just been really like a solid team out there.
France has to be careful, though, because they lost their last group stage game. I think it was to Tunisia. I may be wrong in saying that, but I think it was Tunisia. They need to be careful because if they kind of slip up, like if they have like a defender just like lose an assignment or something, England can go up 1-0 and then just play a trap game and not allow France to move the ball down the field. So they really need, if France wants to win, and same with England, whoever wants to win that game really just needs to be dominant from the start.
Quick question though, did France have a spot locked up already by the time that final group stage game was played?
I don't know. I think they had a spot locked, but they could have still won the group. So they could have still kind of controlled their destiny.
I get that. I feel like that final game with a spot being already locked up, France might have took their foot off the gas. I wouldn't put too much stock into that.
But you want positive thoughts going into the round of 16 because you don't want to lose and then go out and lay an egg in the round of 16 game too. So you want just great thoughts going into it. I mean, you can look at Argentina. Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia. Like that was one of the first games played. And then here they are in the round of 8, potentially making it to the semis. So anything can happen.
So I know that we saw the Netherlands beat the USA team. How did you guys feel watching that game?
I feel like the USA has come far along. I feel like the USA really beat themselves that game. And I feel like this whole tournament, they played very, very well. Drawing England when no one was really giving them a shot was a major, major boon to this United States team. I feel like things are definitely on the upswing for the United States, especially after coming on top 1-0 over Iran. Christian Pulisic putting his body on the line to put the United States into the next round. So I think United States soccer is on the upswing, and soon in 2026, when the United States hosts the World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the U.S. move further into this tournament.
They need to be excited as to how far they made it in the World Cup in the round of 16. Obviously, making it to the round of 8 is a greater achievement. But I mean, just to make it out of group stage, like they have to care. They have to think to themselves that that's a really good achievement, especially since in the fashion that they did. They could have potentially beat Wales, and they drew England, which nobody really thought that they were going to do, and they beat Iran, really kind of taking it down to the last minutes in that game. But I mean, just to win those games and to play those games as hard as they did, I think that that's a really good thing. But they need to score. Their problem was not scoring. They scored a combined 2 goals in group stage over 3 games, which really just isn't getting it done.
Yeah, they're not getting the shots in the net. And, I mean, they definitely should be proud of themselves. Obviously, every team should be proud of themselves. But it's about getting the shots in the net to obviously win the game. So they're going to have to do something in a few years to get that, to get that win. Do you guys have any other thoughts about the World Cup?
Should be fun to see it go down to the wire, though.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch everything. Well, that's all that we have time for this week. We hope that you're able to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.